Do your stars look like this? If they do, you might be dealing with an issue called collimation. How do you deal with it? How do you fix it? Is it something I can do on my own? Do I have to send my scope back to the manufacturer? What do we do if we're dealing with an issue with a HyperStar that has its own built-in collimation? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today on another episode of Astro Playground. Stick around. So, decisions. What do we do? Do we go the expensive route and go to the online stores for astrophotography and purchase all kinds of expensive collimating gear, laser collimators and Howie gladers and all kinds of other stuff like that? You can certainly do that, and it's available to you. Or you can choose a secondary option, which is to use one of these. This is your trusty handy dandy screwdriver. And all you're going to need is that and an image like this one right here out of your telescope, and you can make adjustments to your collimation that are going to get you pinpoint stars. Either way you go, you're probably going to wind up with better imaging anyway, especially if your telescope is way out of collimation, even if it's just a little bit out of collimation. So as we go through this process, you decide for yourself, do I want to go the expensive route or do I want to go the inexpensive route? Find out for yourself which one is more practical. We're not going to judge. As a matter of fact, leave comments, in there. Tell us your process. Tell us what you think about the way that we're going here. And if you have better ideas, please share those. So let's get into this. One of the problems that you have with SCTs is that they rely on mirrors instead of lenses. The mirrors are in essence the lenses of the telescope, but those mirrors are subject to errors in how they're mounted, so they could go out of alignment. Not necessarily the rear mirror nearly as much as the primary mirror, as much as the secondary mirror, the one that is sitting on top of the corrector plate. And when that happens, what you see happen is the stars will start to get fuzzy, or you'll get aberrations, or this or that, and it's an issue called collimation. And collimation problems are common, especially in SCTs. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about that. Now, when it comes to collimating the front of the telescope, and we're not going to get into doing anything with the main mirror. I don't even want to screw around with that. If there's a problem with the main mirror, I highly suggest you don't mess with that. Just send the scope back to your manufacturer. However, the front of the telescope, even though it's still sensitive, it is manageable. So there are things that you can do. Now, there are two collimation issues that we're dealing with at the front of the telescope. The first being the collimation of the actual corrector plate itself, and that is the outside. That ring has 4 screws on it that are the collimation screws, and you want to be very, very careful in dealing with these. You don't want to over tighten those things down. They need to be just touching the side of the telescope, right? And the way that you can do that in adjusting that is to invert the telescope and make adjustments with it pointing directly to the zenith. The other collimation aspect is the secondary mirror. That secondary mirror also has screws in it. There's 3 screws in the Celestron, the edge. There are 3 screws in that, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well. There's also a locking ring that holds that secondary mirror in place. So once you pull that locking ring off, you can then pull the secondary mirror out and carefully inspect it and store it safely if you're going to install the HyperStar. And the HyperStar, of course, from Starzona. They make some of the most amazing optical equipment for the front of SCTs. If you don't know Starzona, check them out. That's where I bought my HyperStar, and it is an amazing piece of equipment, and I'll probably show some pictures of that, possibly some additional video that we'll put right here. So if when it comes to the HyperStar and installing that, it also has its own built-in collimation. And again, we'll talk about a little bit about that as well. But now the primary mirror, what we want to do is we want to be able to collimate the corrector plate and that primary mirror. And a lot of times people will just collimate the secondary mirror. They won't even check to see if the corrector plate is collimated. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to check that. And again, if you have a better way of doing this than I do, a more efficient way of doing it, not necessarily a more expensive way, but an efficient way to do it, please share in the comments. I'm open to all forms of teaching when it comes to stuff like this. So we're going to go ahead and take this outside and show you the setup that we have out there, and that will kind of give you an idea as to the collimation process for both the corrector ring, the corrector plate, and the ring that holds it, and the secondary mirror. So we'll see you outside.
Much later.
Okay, so coming from the back of the telescope here, I oriented the scope so that it is level, parallel to the ground in both axes. All right, so if you look here, in the stainless steel, so I have to hold it. But if you look here, this level, bubble level, and if you can't see that all that well, take my word for it, it is right spot on level. All right. Right spot on level. The other position is up here on the tube. And if we place that level on the tube and just give it a quick look, there, it is spot on. So the tube itself is level, all right, in both axes. And when we point the camera straight down the tube, we should be able to determine if the camera is out, if the corrector plate is out of collimation. So as you can see, right here, we've got these little set screws. And these set screws are what are used to collimate the telescope. And there are 4 of them around this ring. If I can get it to focus. There we go. All right, so we're going to just double check the collimation on the corrector plate. And as you can see, I have the dew heater ring, Celestron's dew heater ring. It's having a hard time focusing on that, but that dew heater ring is also held in place by several screws. So what we can do, if this is out, you can leave the dew heater ring screws tight, and then you can loosen the screws that hold the corrector plate and make your adjustments there. Tighten those back up, not tight, just enough to hold it, and then come back in and make your adjustments on the dew heater ring. So, but first things first, we're going to just double check the collimation on that. And as you can see over here, I have another camera set up, and that camera, and I'm probably just going to take an image of that through the camera, but as you can see, the camera is set up so that you can look right down the long axis of that telescope. All right, and you'll see some video here of that. Okay, so from here, we are going to now address the second issue in collimation, which is the corrector plate. On the corrector plate, the secondary mirror. Now, this particular telescope version, it has the FastStar, which it allows you to connect a HyperStar to the front of the corrector plate. The screws for this are hidden underneath this little device right here. So if you just turn that, you can see the screws. All right, but what we're going to do is we're going to remove the retaining ring, and we're going to pull the secondary out from the corrector plate. From what I could determine, it looked like it was in pretty good collimation. The corrector plate was in good collimation, but we're going to go ahead and test that once we get this mirror out, and we'll get it in a safe place, someplace inside, get it nice and protected. And then we're going to go ahead and do a long view all the way down the scope without the secondary mirror in place. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take that off. So as you can see right here, where this retaining ring just comes off. And I think that I'm going to get one of my microfibers just to kind of protect the mirror. One of the things that you definitely want to make sure that you're doing anytime you're dealing with the optics here, be it the corrector plate or the secondary mirror, whatever, you want to make doubly sure that you're washing your hands. You want to remove as much the debris or even the skin oils that you can. A lot of guys will actually use gloves, thin, almost like a white glove. I'm not going to go that far because I'm going to be extra careful, but we're going to put the secondary, we're going to wrap it in the microfiber, and then we're going to put it inside this. This is a very heavy duty kind of a Ziploc bag. It's waterproof, it's actually airtight, and it's a very heavy plastic, and I believe that it will store the secondary mirror in here and protect it very, very well. So at any rate, we'll just go ahead and see about getting this out, and we'll go from there. And it looks like the secondary is in good shape. It is just very barely sitting there. And one of the things that you want to take note of, and I'll show this in a still image, right here there is a notch. It's a registration notch to make sure that you put the secondary back in the right orientation. Make sure that you're putting that in there, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. Very, very carefully remove that mirror. It's got a couple of dust spots on it, but if you notice, there is a little tiny grub screw right there. And that grub screw is what lines up with that notch. All right? Do not try to put that in there without lining that up with that notch. You will have a very bad day. You don't want to do that. So again, I'm just going to very carefully put this mirror and we're just going to stick it right here inside this bag, and that will go a very long way to protecting the mirror. All right, just like that. So now what we'll do is we're going to reorient the camera, and we're going to stare right straight down the barrel of the gun, so to speak. All right, we're going to stare right straight down the barrel of the gun and get an idea as to whether or not this outer plate is collimated correctly. So as you can see, we're trying to line this up and I may have to speed up the video just because this might take a bit of time. Okay, so as you can see, to me at any rate, if I slide up out of the way, those rings, for the most part, they all look like they are approximately the same size. So if the inner ring was if the collimation on the corrector plate was out, that inner ring would differ from the other rings. And I don't see much if anything, of a difference. It's looking like it is spot on, which is a good thing. That means that we don't have to fiddle with the corrector plate and the collimation on the corrector plate. That's a good baseline to go from. So if you did have an issue where things were not lined up, then you could go ahead and get the bolts loosened up, like I said before, and very, very gently move, check, move, check, move, until you get to a position that looks like this. All right, and for all intent and purpose, this is looking very, very good. So we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about the secondary mirror and collimating that, and on to our next step. One of the other things you want to make doubly sure, especially once you have that secondary out, you want to protect as best you can the internals. So go ahead and put your dew heater strap up and out of the way, and we're going to want to cover the scope just to make sure that we minimize as best as possible any intrusion of dust or, God forbid, anything else that might fly in there. I can't imagine a hornet or some other insect flying in there and getting trapped. That would be a nightmare. So just cover it, make sure that you're in good shape. All right, so what we're going to do now is just kind of get a quick examination of the secondary mirror. And I can't emphasize enough the importance of keeping these things safe. I know that Starzona offers a container that you can put the secondary mirror into. It's a metal container. It's threaded, so you can thread this thing. You can slip it in there, thread this ring back down on top of it while you're using the HyperStar. So what we've got here, just kind of get into this a little bit. And one of the things that you definitely want to make sure that you have a good supply of are these microfibers. They can definitely save the day. You don't want to be touching the glass on this mirror. It's just a bad idea. Don't touch it. It is a very, very delicate mirror and requires the utmost in care in protecting it. So it actually looks pretty good. If you don't have one of these, again, as a photographer, I've got several of these, different camera bags and such. It's just a high volume blower. Okay, high volume blower. Giotto. They make probably the rocket blower is one of the best. So we're just going to give this just a quick blow off, and Rocky loves the sound of the blower. Don't ask me why. He just does. He just loves the sound of the blower. The mirror, for the most part, the mirror looks like it's in very, very good shape. There are just a couple of spots that require just a very light touch. So one of the things that I'm going to do, and I don't know how well I can illustrate this, but the distance from the back of the mirror to the back of the plate is what is in reference. All right, so what we're going to do, and I've seen people try to eyeball this, that is just not in my nature. I cannot eyeball stuff like this. I have to use micrometers and calipers, to make doubly sure. This actually looks like it's in pretty good shape. It's pretty close, but just for the sake of giggles, I'm gonna go grab my calipers, and we will throw the calipers up here at the points, the 3 points, the 120-degree points of these screws, and just see where we're at from a perspective of thousandths of an inch. All right, so put this back in its microfiber, and again, just very, very gently. I also have just not terribly off topic, but I have a video excuse me, not a video. I have a PDF document on cleaning mirrors and how to best clean the mirrors. If you are interested in that, just drop me a note in the comments along with a place to send the PDF, and I will fire it off to you, a Gmail address or something, and I will fire it off to you, and you can have that for your own. We have a couple things here to talk about. We're going to start with calipers. If you are in this hobby, or any other hobby that requires very delicate management of measuring, a set of good calipers is worth its weight in gold. It doesn't matter what it is, even in woodworking, setting up routers, setting up other machines, a good set of calipers is worth its weight in gold. I actually reload ammunition, so my presses and things, they require high levels of precision, but this is just a good investment. A good set of calipers will run you $150 to $200. That's for a really good machinist set. You can get a set of dial calipers or probably digital calipers, a mediocre set for probably $30 or $40. But these ones here I have had for many, many years. And I don't know if you can see that, but they are made by the Starrett company out of Massachusetts. And anybody that is in machining and tool making and so on and so forth, this is the gold standard when it comes to measuring tools. Starrett instruments are some of the very, very best. You would never need to replace these. They are phenomenally well made. Now, I have taken a lot of flack because I use a dial caliper. I don't use a digital caliper. And I guess maybe I'm just old school. To me, it's not hard at all to read that. I've been using the dial caliper for years, and I'm sure that there are all kinds of videos that you can go online and learn about how to use dial calipers, or you can just get a set of digital calipers. I like the dial calipers. For one thing, they don't take any batteries, and no matter what happens, I don't have to, if I pick these up and the batteries are dead, I don't have to hunt for batteries and look for that. I just pick them up and use them because they're analog. All right, no batteries required. So what we're going to do is we're going to use these just to get an idea as to what the distance is around this corrector plate. So again, out of its safety bag, and we're going to, again, very, very gently, we're just going to take some quick measurements to see where we're at. And again, you want, this is tool steel. All right, it is very, very hardened tool steel. So you want to be careful where you're placing this. Don't get it anywhere near the front of that mirror. All right, I am taking measurements from the back of the glass plate to the aluminum mounting plate. All right, and we're going to do it from the position of the screws. And as you can see, we are right there. We are at 494 thousandths of an inch, so just shy of a half an inch, just shy. All right, so if we come over to the next screw and see where we're at, we are within 6 thousandths of an inch, so that's very, very, very close. And this one, again, registration mark on the mirror. This one is again within 8 thousandths of an inch. So it is out by a little bit, but to try to eyeball that within 5 to 10 thousandths of an inch, there's no way your human eye could pick that up. All right. So what you want to do in dealing with this glass and dealing with this mirror is these three screws that you see right here are going to reposition the mirror in relation to this plate. And that's the thing, is that when you loosen here, you need to tighten here. When you loosen, or when you tighten here, you need to loosen here. and so on and so forth. All right. If you're just going around trying to tighten and loosen this, you're going to be frustrated. That thing's going to wobble. It's going to be all over the place. So it may take a little bit of getting used to on how to, operate those. All right. But the bolting pattern, and again, any machinists or mechanics in here that are watching this, you guys understand about bolting patterns, all right? There are particular bolting patterns to prevent warpage of like cylinder heads and so on and so forth. This isn't necessarily for warpage, but it's for position as it relates to this plate and the mirror, and where the mirror sits in relation to the back mirror, the primary mirror. All right, and these 3 screws allow you to make very, very fine adjustments to that mirror, so that you can move it in relation in those 3 axes, right? In those three positions. They're at 120 degrees each. Right, very, very fine positioning, right, to get that to look just right. And when I'll put a video, or not a video, I'll put that picture up again, all right, of the star that is way out of focus. It looks like a big white donut with a black hole in the middle of it. That black hole is this. Okay, that's what you see when you see that. The black hole is this. All right, so what we want to do is we want to make sure that that black hole is right smack dab in the center of that donut. And you do that just by adjusting those 3 screws. So, and we're going to attempt to do that if we can get some clear skies tonight and I can actually get locked on a star. But in the meantime, we're going to talk a little bit about the HyperStar. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put this away, and I'll bring back the HyperStar, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Okay, from Starzona, and as you can see, we have the case was sent to us from Starzona, all right? And it has the HyperStar on it. Okay. Again, this is a highly precise piece of instrumentation. All right, it is completely analog. There's nothing digital about this at all. It is completely analog, but it is designed and built to manufacturing specs that, if you're a geek like I am when it comes to stuff like that, to high precision, and for instance, okay, you will appreciate the machining of this instrument, of this device. All right, it is machined out of billet, and more than likely it is actually steel, and it's powder coated. I don't know if that. No, I stand corrected. It is aluminum. I stand corrected. But this particular unit, and as you can see, it is the HyperStar for the C14. All right. I had this built to specs for the C14, but I also had them include a filter drawer. Okay. And one of the things that I noticed as soon as I pulled that out of there, I noticed the the filter. Then I believe that's my NBZ. That is that's the NBZ. That is the filter for the nebulas. All right, we'll just blow it off. Just a little bit of dust. So we're in good shape. Again, these things, got to get one. If you don't have one, you got to get one. So we'll take that filter drawer and slide that back in there like that. And yes, that is the nebula booster, the NBZ 48 millimeter. All right. And just make sure that we're orientating it and doing the right way. Now, the other thing that's nice to know about this is that the filter drawer, they're utilizing magnets. They're the rare earth magnets, and these are really, that holds that filter drawer in there quite nice. You can hear it just kind of snap in place. So it holds that in there quite nicely. So there we go. So this we got our cap. This threads directly onto, or I should say it fits in the the opening for the secondary mirror. All right, and that will allow you to put a camera up here on the front, a filter, you know, for the filter drawer, and a camera. And with the C14, the focal length using this device is 720 millimeters at f2. That is an incredibly fast imaging device, an imaging platform. F2 at 720 millimeters is very, very fast. That's going to produce some phenomenally beautiful nebula images. And when we get into nebula season, I'll be outfitting the HyperStar onto the C14 and go ahead and set it up. Now, this has in it also, it has collimation screws. That's basically what these screws are here. They are for adjusting all of the collimation, and that will allow you to basically set this up, and it operates exactly the same way as the collimation for the rear of the scope. Big donut, black, you know, dot in the middle, centering it, just looping exposures in Nina, and allowing you to you know, center it. And once you get it locked in, you're good to go. This is actually, it's got its own built-in collimation, and it's very easy. And they send you all the instructions on how to do that, all right? So again, HyperStar, excellent choice. Now, the reason that I went with the HyperStar is because the 14-inch RASA, that telescope is $14,000. All right, this setup right here was $1,500. Okay, and it switches in and out of the telescope within, well, I mean, you set it up and then you collimate it. It doesn't take very long to collimate it, just a couple minutes. You set it up, you know, it takes all of maybe 20 minutes, you know, to get it set up, and you leave it set up throughout galaxy season. So, you know, $1,500. $14,000. Okay. Now, granted, the RASA, the 36 centimeter RASA, or it's roughly the 14, right, is an amazing instrument. All right, and it is not 720 millimeter focal length; it's 790. So it's got a little bit longer focal length on it, but not much. All right, and quite frankly, I would rather have the shorter focal length. You know, just because I want to get as wide as I can, all right? And even at 720 millimeters, it's still not all that wide. It's wider than 27-37, you know, which is reduced at the back of the scope, but it's still, you know, it's still pretty wide. So, but this will provide some phenomenally good images. And all you got to do is just Google it. Go on to HyperStar images, you know, shot with the C14. You'll see what I'm talking about. It's incredible. All right. So that's the HyperStar. I am not going to install it on the scope right now, just basically because we're still in galaxy season, and I want to wait until we get, you know, into nebula season before this goes on. But I wanted to just show it to you so that you could get an idea as to it. So that's that should cover it. If you have any questions about the HyperStar, please feel free to drop me a note in my my inbox, and I will happily answer that question for you. So on to our next step. Okay, so now we're going to reinstall the secondary mirror back into place, and we should be in good shape. Just get that. So we'll go ahead and get this opened up to see where we're at with the mirror. The mirror looks like it's in good shape. There we go. So the mirror looks like it's in pretty good shape. One of the things that you can do if you need to wipe it off is to use an optical pad, cleaning pad. These ones are called PEC pads, and they are just very delicate, meant for just this kind of optical cleaning. All right, and you can use optical fluid if you need to. I don't think I need to in this application, but I'm going to just go ahead and get one of these pads out, and we're just going to go over that mirror ever so gently, just to make sure that everything that could be on it is gone. And it looks fairly immaculate. No dust. We should be in good shape. All right. So again, remembering our registration mark, there's also, the registration mark is also indicated by the black bar that they painted from Celestron. They painted on this, and it lines up with that. So just make sure that you set this in there, that you're setting this in there correctly. Whatever you do, don't force anything, all right? So we're gonna set this in there very, very gently. Very gently, make sure that we're lined up, and that thing should just sit flat, and it does. All right, we'll take our retention ring, put our retention ring back on. Don't ever force threads. These are machined to very high tolerances, so they should thread on very, very easily. And this you don't want to, okay, don't do that, all right? All it needs is just to be snug. That's all it needs to do, just snug, okay? It doesn't need any more than that. All it's doing is holding that mirror in place to keep it from moving, all right? You do not crank down on that, all right? And you can hide your screws if you want. We are going, hopefully, I'm not sure if we're gonna be able to collimate tonight, we'll have to see, but our next step is to collimate the scope. So we require some stars to do that, so that'll be our next step.
Many unbearable hours later.
Yeah, you guessed it. It's raining. Now, if you don't own a telegizmos for a rig that you have outside, you're just asking for trouble. Especially if you've got tens of thousands of dollars of equipment and you're not protecting it from the elements.
You're a stupid dumbass.
Using the Telegizmos series scope covers, you're definitely protecting your equipment from the elements. The covers themselves are phenomenally well made. They are completely waterproof, as well as providing a heat shield against the sun. So you can feel confident in leaving your telescope outside during rainy seasons. As a matter of fact, you can see just from what we were experiencing here that the scope is very well protected from the elements. I'm confident in its ability to keep the scope dry and well protected. You can go to the Telegizmos site to learn about the different scope covers that are available, and there is a wealth of information here. Many different sizes to choose from. As you can see, the 12 to 14 EQ mounted SCT scope cover that I have was $180. That is one of the more expensive scope covers just based on size. They also have this 10-inch EQ mounted for Newtonians that will accept tube lengths up to 50 inches. That's just a massive cover. So, but I would encourage you to head over to not only to learn about the scopes from the Telegizmos site. I will be providing an affiliate link to Astroworld telescopes. So if you decide that you're going to purchase something from them and you've learned about Astroworld telescopes here or a particular product that we are promoting, if you click on that link, it takes you directly there. I get a small commission for those efforts in promoting the product, and it helps to build the business for Astro World telescopes, which I am affiliated with. So check out the website. Everything that you need for your telescope rigs is there, and there is more coming regularly. Well, it's been 3 nights since we've had anything like good stars. It's going to be a nice clear night. We've got about a 10% moon. That moon is probably going to set. I have to double check my app, but I'm pretty sure the moon is going to set right around 10 o'clock. We are looking very, very clear right now. Right now we're just letting the scope slew to home. Now that we've got weights are down, pointing west. That's a home position for the Hubble eye, for the Rainbow Astro. So we'll go ahead now and get it set to park. Okay. So as you can see, we're all set. We're going to go ahead and get the polar alignment running here. So take a peek right now. Okay, now we'll go ahead and rotate the scope back up. Now, as you can see, we've got a bit of a poor alignment, so we'll hit next. And we need to make some adjustments. So we are going to go left and up. Okay, well, I would say that's pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and close out of sharp cap, and let's see. Our focuser. All right, so let's just go over here, and we will take an image. All right. I can take that down to 3 seconds. And we're going to just run a quick focus routine. So there you can see the focuser moving. So I think what we're going to do now is defocus the stars. I'm going to take the dew shield off, and we're going to see about getting this collimated. On to our next step. Okay, in dealing with stars, we want to take and defocus our star field. So the idea here is to spin your manual control for your focuser either in or out. It doesn't matter as long as the stars are defocused. You want to create nice big donuts so that you can easily view the center part, the black part of that donut, which is represented by the secondary mirror. So we're starting to get some donuts. We're going to zoom in and eventually lock in on a single star that we can place our hand in front of the main objective to determine the location of the screws at the secondary mirror, making our adjustments very, very subtly. So as you have a single screw on one side tightened, the two on the other side need to be loosened, and so on and so forth. Focusing down on a single star, we should be able to reach a collimation that is acceptable, producing pinpoint stars for our images. And as you see, we have a nice centered secondary mirror. So, in conclusion, what have we learned? Collimation is something that you can do. It's something that needs to be checked, and easy to check. All you got to do is defocus your scope. It's one of the things that will ensure that you have excellent pinpoint stars in your star field. And who doesn't love that? The other thing to take into consideration is using a device like the HyperStar. In setting up and tearing down your secondary mirror, you're going to need to check your collimation every time you pull that mirror out of there. You're also going to need to adjust your collimation for the HyperStar every time you take it on and off the scope. If you like this kind of content and you'd like to see more, consider liking and subscribing to our channel. We absolutely love sharing this amazing hobby with all of our viewers. I would encourage you to send us comments. Tell me what you think, I'm doing right. Tell me what you think I'm doing wrong. Tell me if you think I'm being an idiot. Doesn't matter to me. I read all my comments. Just communicate with us. Leave us a comment. I'll check, I'll get back to you. I also encourage you to check out Astro World telescopes. If you go to, and I'm going to put a link in the comments here in this video, but I've also on our main page, there is right next to our logo on our main page, there's a link there for Astro World telescopes. If you click that link, it'll take you directly there. And the profits that we have that we receive from any commissions go to furthering this channel and helping to support this great community. We encourage you to come and check us out on Astro World TV. I'm gonna go ahead and put a link to that right here, QR code, and come in and participate in the chat room and ask your questions of all the people that show up, the guys and even the gals. We've had some amazing lady astronomers that have participated and are a part of our community. So we encourage you to come and be a part of Astro World. We meet twice a week on Wednesdays at 8 o'clock and on Fridays at 8 o'clock, both Eastern Standard Time. There will be no show this Friday, just as there's no show tonight, because of what's going on up in New York with NEAF. Come and visit us next week. Astro World TV. Click that link and participate with us. Remember to keep imaging, keep educating, and clear skies from all of us here at Astro Playground. Bye for now.